Anyone who enters God's rest also rests from their works, just as God did from his. We live in a world of incessant activities. It is almost impossible to stop our activities. Just think of what we do every day, from the moment we wake up until we go to sleep. Think of what we have been doing in the past few days, or months, or years. Now imagine what we have been doing collectively upon this planet as a human species for the past thousands of years. Our ancestors were living in the forests, but now we have satellites and smartphones. We have always been inventing and creating something or the other. We were in fact participating in the creative work of God. God renews, or rather recreates, the world through the works we do. In the book of Genesis, we read that God created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. Jews called the 7th day as the Sabbath, the day of rest. The 6 days represent the world of time and creation, whereas the 7th day is a symbol of the timeless rest of God. The Jews rightly recognized that sometimes it's important to keep aside all works and activities because we are called to participate not only in God's creative work, but also in God's creative rest. There's quite an interesting passage in the letter to the Hebrews. There remains then a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For anyone who enters God's rest also rests from their works, just as God did from his. Let us therefore make every effort to enter that rest, so that no one will perish. Letter to the Hebrews chapter 4 verses 10 and 11. It is very clear that just as we have a duty to participate in God's creative work, we are also invited to participate in God's rest. We are not talking about the rest after our death, but rather the restful being of God, which is present and accessible to us in every living moment. This is the kingdom of God, which Jesus speaks of as being already present among us. Gospel of Luke chapter 17 verse 21. However, God's rest is not the same as human rest. Human rest is merely an absence of activity, an inactive, passive state. The problem with the Pharisees in today's gospel was that they misunderstood God's creative rest as merely abstaining from one's works and duties. But Jesus, by healing the sick man, showed to them that the rest of God renews and brings healing. Participation in the rest of God heals the body, renews the mind, and recreates us in the spirit. We become grounded in God's being. And then on, all our activities will acquire a new meaning, because it doesn't spring from our personal intentions, but from the restful being of God.